I just created this YouTube thumbnail in GPT-4o in under 3 minutes. But take a look at the text. None of the other image generation models come this close to generating text at this level, right? At this level of detail. So, or at this level of accuracy, should I say. So I'm going to go through exactly how I put together this thumbnail. And I'm also going to cover a bunch of other business use cases with prompts that you can use today, right now, in order to either make money or to save money. So we'll go through content and branding. We'll go through YouTube thumbnails, social posts, logos. We'll go through marketing and advertising. I'll cover ad creative variants, product variants, packaging, label mockups and all that, product advertising. We'll go through product and UX design. We'll cover websites, landing pages, virtual staging, like for real estate, and UI and UX onboarding screens. We'll also go through collateral and merch, like pitch decks, infographics, and things like that. I'll also briefly cover at the end why you would choose GPT-4o versus the other image generation models like Midjourney, Leonardo, and so on. Let me start by introducing to you what most people use this for. Nowadays, you can see in social media, people are kind of going crazy generating images of themselves or of others, or anything else really, in the style of Ghibli Studio, in the style of Muppets, in the style of Lego, so on and so forth. I'm sure you've seen this kind of crazy images of toys in packaging, in boxes like this. It's all over LinkedIn, it's all over Twitter. So most people use GPT-4o image generation for this purpose. But you can do so much more. Like, I covered some of the use cases at the top, but these are some of the images that I've been able to generate with GPT-4o. So the thumbnail you've seen, you can create logos, you can create merch, and you can do mockups, logo mockups on different merch, t-shirts, hats, and whatnot. You can do product advertising. This is a product that I created, like it doesn't exist, but you know, it did. I'll show you later on. You'll see I created a whole kind of water brand, and I also created the advertising based on an existing ad. I think it was a Gucci ad for their sunglasses. And then this is an example of taking an empty space or an empty room and giving it some style guidelines for interior design. I think I used like Scandinavian style and something like that. We'll have a look at the prompt. And it just put furniture for me in the empty space. So for real estate agents, this is massive. This, you can, you know, take an empty space or an empty house, empty apartment, whatever it is, and you can sell the dream to your prospective clients. So what you get with GPT-4o is precise and accurate photorealistic outputs. So it churns out images that look as if they were snapped by a high-end camera, complete with nuanced lighting, textures, and reflections. So you get real-world quality straight off the bat. It generates accurate text rendering within images. So whether you need a crisp logo, a magazine headline, or a menu design, this model nails lettering it says every time here, but I'm going to say most of the time, with clean lines and legible fonts that feel custom made. Precise prompt following. Tell it to place a red bicycle by a sunlit window, or to swap out the moon for a floating lantern, and it gets exactly right. So no more vague approximations or unwanted extras. Leveraging multimodal context and knowledge. By tapping into the conversation history and any images you upload, it weaves in relevant details so your output always aligns to the broader project or story. So what's good about it? What this means is basically it uses the chat window and it keeps the chat history as context, basically. Whereas, for example, with Midjourney, you give one single prompt, you get the images, and then for your next prompt, it doesn't really refer back to your original one, or it doesn't keep that context. So that's a real benefit here. And if you don't want that context, just start a new chat. Multi-turn interactive refinement. You want a slightly warmer color palette, or to swap out a tree for a cherry blossom tree or any other tree. Just ask it in the same chat. So that kind of goes back to the context as well. Advanced instruction following, so it can juggle 10 to 20 different elements, each with its own color, position, and style, so you can craft intricate illustrations or data-rich infographics with pinpoint accuracy. So you can ask it to kind of create within one image multiple different things, so 10 to 20 different things. So if you want to include, let's say you're doing an infographic, if you want to include a specific icon, or an arrow, or a star, or text, or color, or well, color is part of it, but any other type of element, it will capture 10 to 20 of those, depending on the prompt. So let's go into our different use cases and the different prompts that I use for each. So this one's digital content and branding. So this is the YouTube thumbnail that I generated. So the way I did this one is I used multi-turn generation. What that means is if you have ever used the likes of Photoshop, or you know roughly how it works, or even Canva. So, you're working with layers. So you've got your background layer, then you've got your foreground layer, you've got your text layer. So that's kind of how I generated this. So I first created the background image, and the prompt for that was generate a dramatic, low poly, sci-fi landscape. And this is what I got. Beautiful. Next after this, the second one was the foreground. So what I did was I uploaded an image of myself, and I said, place this cutout in the foreground with sharp rim lighting, and look at that lighting. It's beautiful. Size to occupy 30% of the frame. Well, more or less 30, I guess. And then the next thing after that, I said, So what I've done is I fed the image generated on the last prompt, so with the background, with the foreground, and the prompt was embed bold 3D block text at the top center, reading next level tech with gaudy drop shadow. So it generated really, really nice, kind of like old school style lettering with the shadow. It looks really cool. And I think actually I made a mistake here. Yes, I did not actually feed in the previous generated image with the background and foreground, but I only gave the prompt. So it changed the image slightly. If you can see, it doesn't really look like me, to be honest, but even between these two, they don't look like, and then this is completely different. I know that actually this is more like the original one, but it's not exactly the same. And there we go. We get next level tech. So that's the image I uploaded. Mind you, it's not a very high quality image. And it didn't really stay true to my liking, to be honest. But I don't think this is the right platform to create or to train this model to generate images of your likeness. I think there's much better ways of doing that, like training LoRa and things like that. Whereas this gave somewhat of a likeness. It kept my jean shirt, kept my glasses, kind of similar hair, but I don't think the some of the facial features might be there, but it's not quite there. And then the next thing I did was I put this image in, this one at the top here, the one that's without the text. And I copied a few of the Mr. Beast thumbnails as part of the prompt. And this is the big prompt. I'm not going to read it out, but this is the prompt I put with it. And this is what it generated. I mean, it's pretty Mr. Beasty to me, to be honest. I don't know what you think, but I think it nailed the prompt perfectly. And then I asked it to generate it without the text so that I can possibly add the text myself later. Slightly different angle, but still, I think really, really good. It's got that kind of cartoony look to it, like Mr. Beast has in his thumbnails. And then a few more I asked just to give me the background of the thumbnails, and then I can kind of put it together in Canva. I think if you have the elements ready, putting it together is not a big deal, to be honest. You can do it really fairly quickly in tools like Canva, Figma, or Photoshop. It's actually being able to have an interesting background that's not really a flat color or even a gradient isn't enough nowadays, isn't it? You need to have some sort of interest in the background. And then, putting your image on top and putting the text on top is fairly easy to do. So I created a few backgrounds. I asked it to do the backgrounds now with the white box area, although that would be quite easy to make. I just wanted to see how it would generate it. This is where I try to create like a character or a consistent character based on a few of my photos. Some of them are really good quality, others are not good quality at all. And that's the prompt I used. That's just a screenshot from ChatGPT. It did a good job at kind of generating consistent characters. So I asked for did I ask for four images? No, I don't think so. But it provided kind of a set of images, and they are pretty consistent with each other. They're different, but you know that it's the same person. And as I said before, I think it's just probably better to use to train a LoRa to train a LoRa model if you want kind of to generate pictures of yourself for thumbnails in various different poses. What I've done here at the bottom is I took some of the background that it generated previously and I just put it together in Canva myself. So this is why I wanted to generate those backgrounds, so I can kind of create these styles of thumbnails. This one is for creating different images for your social media posts. So you can have, short form content on Twitter, but you can make it much more engaging with a simple visual like this one. So what I did was I put in my post. So here's my Twitter post. Bang. And then I said, create a high impact 16:9 visual to go with it, perhaps infographic style. So I gave it kind of a clue in terms of how I want it. You could skip that and see what it produces and then give it some more feedback if you want a different style. If you give it the aspect ratio, it stays mostly true to that aspect ratio, so it doesn't do the other bits. So let's break this down. So I created my post exactly. So it took the text and used my text on the thumbnail or on the post, and it generated some icons and it generated a nice graph that represents the idea that I'm talking about. And all the text is perfect in this one, as far as I can tell. So the next one is, what I try to do is to generate backgrounds for Instagram posts that you can reuse just to add text or product image or something like that. Let's say this is for a beauty brand, and I basically asked it, again, I gave the exact size that I want. It's always good to be specific with the size. I mentioned that it's for a beauty brand, and I mentioned what colors I want, and I mentioned exactly what sort of images I want on the background. And it gave me 4 variations of exactly what I was asking for. I think this is really, really nice. And you can add kind of the text in the white space. And you can generate, obviously, many more of those. You can have different themes. Some can be pattern, some can be, some can include different styles of images on it, and some can include just shapes, or basic shapes, and so on. So you can have a bunch of those and alternate between them, and this will make your posts a bit more engaging. Next one is logo variants. So I use GPT-4o to create a logo for my company, Automate. I found a few minimalist logos that I like, sort of black and white style. I included that into the prompt, and I said, create 10 minimalist logo designs for a tech company that focuses on AI and automation. They're called Automate, double O, because I think at some point it missed one of the O's in one of the other prompts. So I've attached some ideas for reference. And then it gave me various kind of styles, which I included a little comparison here to what Midjourney gave me with the same prompt. And the ones that GPT-4o gave are actually usable. I can definitely use, well, this is actually what I have at the moment on my website. is the infinity symbol, which is really cool that it came up with that. Or like the two O's together. The bottom right O with the kind of arrow, that is really cool as well. These are symbols, that you can actually use as a logo. Whereas what Midjourney produced is, I have no idea what this is even. Yeah, I would not use any of those. Maybe the bottom one, bottom right. But then again, it's just like a target. I wouldn't use any of those, definitely. So you can see kind of the difference between the two. And then I asked for a set of geometric ones on the left, and then I asked for a set of glitchy ones on the right. And I think geometric ones kind of looks more like a building construction, I think, because of the bolt. But the glitchy one, I definitely like a few of those. I think they're really cool. And then I said, do the two O's together. Right one is less glitchy. And I think it did a really good job there too. I would actually use this logo. I'm not sure if this one's better or the infinity one. TBC. Then I asked it to give me a few color ideas. And what it did is it gave me the color name and the hex code. And what I then did was in Figma, I just created those colors just to screenshot and put them here so you can see what colors they actually are. So these are the colors that it didn't actually give me the thumbnail of the color. It just gave me the hex code. Although it might have if I asked it to. I'm not sure. So it gave me a few kind of combos: teal and indigo, electric blue and lime, midnight navy, and cyber orange, which I actually really like the combination. Monochrome and chartreuse pop, that's also nice. Soft violet and steel. And those are some really good combinations that maybe you might not have come up with yourself. And it could be just like a starting point of you exploring that color palette and getting to something a bit more final. Great, so the next category is marketing and advertising. So the first thing I did was create some variants of an ad, digital ad. So what I did was, generate images. I always say generate images, or I tend to say it, is because sometimes I give a prompt and it generates text that talks about the image. So when I say generate images, it generates images for me. So generate images. Create 3 more Facebook ads in these series. So I found this, I think, on Google. Screenshot it, put it into GPT-4o, and then I put the prompt next to it. Again, 1080 by 1080. Always mention always be explicit with the size if you want a specific size. And it came up with ideas, and it came up with the visuals as well. Now, I didn't kind of specifically tell it what types of visuals I want, but it kept it to the realistic style of the first 2 images, and the second one is more obviously illustration style. But it kept to the style of the first 2, which is cool. So the kind of the series is creatives and marketers need each other like, and then it's like what? Like Tuesdays need tacos, or like tonic needs gin, or like Shaggy needs Scooby, and then it continues like peanut butter needs jelly, lock needs key. Well, not always. Coffee needs cream. And I think it's really cool. And you can just, this again can be a springboard for more ideas. Or if you know, you can always ask it to generate a bunch of it in text format. Give me 20 and then you choose the ones that you like and feed that back in and say, generate images for these series with these captions. So you can do it that way as well. Next one, what I thought was cool is you could generate like actual products, and you can say, the type of, I don't have the prompt for this, but just generate a series of sneakers in this style. I think I mentioned something like in the Nike style, or maybe I copied an image for reference, and then I gave it some color ideas. And I think it really did like a fantastic job. I really like the gradient work as well on the on the bottom of on the sole. And this way you kind of have an idea of what your product, if it was a shoe, what it would look like in these different colors. And then based on this, you can run like a survey to your customer base and say, which color shoes do you prefer? And then you go for the one that gets the most votes. Packaging and label mockups. So again, these are services you can offer to brands. You can say, I can create label mockups for you, and then you can, they can see what it looks like before committing to something. So this is the labels, and I think the prompt here was create a label. And I first created the jar. So this is create a 3D render of a matte black drop top jar for luxury face cream. Then I asked it to leave a blank space for the label. Then I asked it to create 4 label variants. Again, I mentioned that it's for a luxury brand, and I had a few screenshots that I added in from Google as reference as well. Then the next thing is I created sort of an imaginary water brand product. And initially it was just a very simple prompt that says, create a brand, give me an image of the water bottle. And the first one is what it did. Then I slowly added in things like I wanted in a glass bottle. And then it gave me a glass bottle that looked like a gin bottle or a vodka bottle, which I didn't like. And then I found pictures of different glass bottles, water bottles that I liked. I fed that in, and I said, do it in this style. And sort of kind of mixed the two styles, which then came up with something like this, which I really like. The one on the bottom right. Then the next thing I did is I wanted to create product advertising for my brand new water bottle brand. And I found this Gucci ad, which I thought was really cool. So let's actually go to ChatGPT, and I'll show you exactly what I used for this. So my initial prompt was create an imaginary water brand product. Water brand product. Product is water in a bottle. Come up with a creative name and write it on the label of the bottle. Give it to me on a transparent background. So it was really, really simple, and it literally took me at face value, right? It took the prompt at face value. So literally a name on a label and the water bottle. So the label doesn't have any design on it. It doesn't have anything fancy on it. It's just literally that. So then I had to then prompt it to give me some more. Give me more. And so nice. Make it a luxury water bottle brand and an interesting glass bottle. And yeah, this is interesting. It just kind of looks more like some sort of alcohol than water. So then I asked it, I asked it to redo the plastic bottle with a new brand or a new label. And kind of slowly, the more detailed you are in the prompt. So I didn't really know what I wanted, so I wasn't detailed. I just wanted to see what it comes up with here and just to get ideas from it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe more zen pastel colors, and it did sort of pastel colors for me. And then here we go. Here's when I uploaded the 2 water bottles that I liked, and I said, give me something like, give me a mélange of both of these, which is a mix of both of these. And it kind of did that, which I actually really like that. And then I tried to get the writing like Voss do, so sort of the writing is on the bottle itself. There's no label really, which was okay. I didn't really like it much because the word is just too long for it to be nice. And then I said, okay, do another label like the Aquapana one, which it did, and I actually really like this. And that's the one I used. And then I said, what I did was I uploaded the Gucci ad, and then I uploaded the water bottle that I liked. And then I said, put the water bottle in this scene, in that style, instead of the sunglasses. Replace Gucci writing with Hydrozen. And it did that. And it was really cool. I mean, it's not exactly the same ad, obviously, just recreated it, but in exactly that style. And it just popped the water bottle in there, which I think is really cool. And it did it sort of, the style of it looks more like the people are made out of clay or something. It looks a little bit 3D. And then I said, do more an illustrative style, which then it did. It's more flat now. And then I asked it to, because that water bottle on the beach, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but I just wanted it in a different environment. And I said, actually put it in a scene with mountains. And I think this was, did I ask for more? No. This was the one that I really, really liked. And this looks like proper advertisement, right? Like one of those old school ads. And, styles like these come back, don't they? So next thing, I saw this. I thought I'd try something different just to see how it behaves, especially with water and reflection. I just was curious to see how it does it. And I uploaded again the water bottle, the final water bottle that I liked. And then I uploaded this image of, oh, it's broken, but basically you can see it's an image of a hand holding a handbag in the ocean or in the sea. And I said, do this, but with the water bottle. And it did, and it looks really good. Maybe the shadow looks a bit off because the colors, the reflection looks a bit off because it's like an orange color. But I mean, overall, I think it did a really good job. And then I asked it to fix it, and it did. And I just kind of don't like how the hand is so low in the water. You can't, the rest of the wrist, you can't see it. I quite like when you can see the wrist as well. This looks a bit odd, especially with the reflection. I think I don't see my other prompt here, but there should be another prompt where I ask it to do the same, but in a lake. Then the problem was that you could actually, in the lake, the water is clearer, so you could actually see the whole arm inside the lake, and then you can see the hand coming out, and then the reflection, which looks a bit too complicated. And then the rest of the kind of time I just spent trying to fix the reflection. I didn't like the water in this. It kind of looks muddy. The reflections look weird. The font, actually, the lettering is a little bit off here. It says hydrogen, not hydrogen. It's all right. We forgive it. I found this one was like the last one that I really liked. I think this works. It's kind of an illustrative style. Kind of looks surreal a little bit, but it's kind of nice. I like the mountains that look sort of painted in gouache. And yeah, well, I did say it's illustrative style, and I wanted to see if it can do a bit more realistic. Let's see if there's a final one. Yeah. Let's see what I've got in my... Do I have anything? Yeah, I just included these two because I thought the other ones don't really have a good reflection. This kind of last lake one is nice. Though again, I don't quite like the hand being so, or the wrist being in the water. Kind of looks much nicer aesthetically when the wrist is out. But anyway, you tweak as you go. Overall, I think it's just stunning the way it produced the exact image that I wanted. Like if you look on the left and the right, that's pretty much exactly the image, just with the water bottle. It's amazing. The next topic is product and experience design. So here, like, I just continued on with the water bottle brand, and I wanted to create like a landing page. This is my prompt. It's quite long, but I'm just asking it exactly what I want and where I want it. And these are good, like if you have, like, for example, wireframes, you just jot things down on paper. You're like, oh, I want the header there. I want a few features here, maybe social proof and this and that. And then what you do is you take that, you put it into words. You can even upload the sketch with it. Then you say, I've done this sketch. This is kind of what it looks like in terms of layout. These are exactly the features that I want on the page. This is the size. This is the text. Come up with a landing page visual for me. And it will do it. And obviously this is not going to be the final version that you use, but for a quick mock-up that takes literally, I don't know, it's probably going to take less than 5 minutes, right, to put the prompt together for this. And within 5-6 minutes, you get a mock-up like this, which would take, it's simple enough, but it would take an hour, maybe more to do. And then you get it in 5 minutes. So it drastically decreases the time to produce mock-ups like these. And you can do it for mobile as well. So this is my prompt. And it's, again, like as I was saying, it's quite detailed. And if you want just ideas, if you want ChatGPT to give you ideas, keep the prompt high level and see what it gives you. And then you can, based on that, you can just ask it to do more or less. But if you know exactly what you want, just put it in the prompt. Here it goes through, it says, I want these FAQs, and then I want the footer to be like this. So you can screenshot it and grab the prompt if you want to. And then the next thing, which I thought was really cool, was creating like a virtual staging. And this is probably going to be the most useful for real estate agents. So this is the image that I found on Google. Screenshot, pop it in, and then this is the prompt that I used. Just copy paste the prompt if you need to, but I'm not going to read it out loud. Again, the more detail you want, the more detail you give. Created a few variations. This is another one. And again, it's the same prompt. It's just a different image. Next one is the UX sort of onboarding screens. We can say like mobile design onboarding screens, or it could really be anything. Any kind of design UX thing that you want. This happened to be like a mobile onboarding set of screens. So when you first download a mobile app, it will take you through kind of the steps, sort of guide you through what you need to do and whatnot before you can log in or sign up. This is the sort of screen that I was going for. So the first one kind of gave me, it kind of cut it off, and it also gave me the exact same character, just with different background, which is actually cool. We could use something like that. You know, he changes his shoes halfway through because in the mountains he's got blue shoes. Maybe they wore out, you know, because he's been running for so long. But I think overall it's good. Like if you're going for something like that, you can use that. But then I asked it to get the character to do different fitness activities. So there's meditating, cycling, weightlifting, swimming. And then I asked it to give each image separately, because kind of gave it to me as one image, four of the graphics in one image. The next thing you can do is merge. So remember the logo that I generated, the one that I may or may not replace my current one with? So what I did was I re-uploaded that logo, just screenshotted, copy-pasted. And then I said, put my newly generated logo attached on a cap and t-shirt for merchandise mockups. And it did that. It did just that. And then I said, you know, make the cap embroidered, and it did. It looks nice, much nicer, doesn't it? It literally took seconds to do this. It's amazing. Especially the embroidered one would have been very hard to do. Well, I think. Then you can create, you know, pitch deck visuals. Obviously, there's a bunch of different software you can use for this. Even Figma now has presentations, and Canva and whatnot. And they've got a variety of templates you can use and just change the colors. But you can also do it through here. So if you have like certain colors that you want, just give it the colors, give the aspect ratio, and just say, you know, text on top, and the type of gradient. Maybe you want geometric gradient, whatnot. And it will create you some variants. And then you can take one of the variants and then include other types of screens. So maybe one has your team on it, one has company information on it, and they look slightly different in terms of template. You can give those types of different ideas to it, and that's just the screenshot, I think, from Canva. And then you ask it, create variations of the one with the gray background, like in the attached examples. Pay attention more to the layout rather than to the colors and images. And it gave me a series of different layouts. And obviously this is not editable. These are just images. But what it does is it just gives you ideas of how you can structure it, and colors you can use, and types of elements you can use on it. You can either get someone on Fiverr to recreate it for you, or you can do it yourself. Finally, is it finally? I don't know. Maybe there's a few more slides. But infographic, I think this is the last one, but infographic and diagram templates. So if you have a text and you want to create a visual kind of representation of it, which is what an infographic really is, all you can do is you copy paste the text and then you give it the prompt. Can you create an infographic style grid with an icon for each of the points below. Now, I had a bit of a struggle with this one, just because, and it will happen with language models. You give it a prompt and it doesn't really quite do what you want it to do. So you got to go back and forth with it, and that's okay, and that's normal. So as you can see, it created a grid, and I really like the visual style of it. Actually, maybe I wouldn't have come up with it if I was doing it on my own. And even this, I could take this idea and just go to Canva, create a few boxes, and write the text and pop the text in, and that's it. And that's what you can do. You can do that. You don't have to keep regenerating it using ChatGPT. But I just thought I'd push it a bit and see if I can get the result that I want just using the prompt. So then I asked it just to give me icons for each of the points. So this way then I can copy the icons and then paste it if I need to. So it kind of gave me some icons. Some of them are overlapping, and so it would kind of be impossible for me to just screenshot and use them. But others are, okay. And then I asked it to, okay, now use these icons together with the points that I've given you to create the infographic style grid. And it's not getting the grid part, like it kind of is, but not fully. And then I said, okay, no, do a 2-column grid with the icons on the left and the text on the right. And kind of did that for me, and that works. But then I only wanted the titles, not the full text. And then my next prompt was create a 2x8 grid, and so on. So I just kept prodding it and prompting it to give me exactly what I wanted. And I think this one isn't bad. I think this was the kind of the best one. This is sort of what I wanted, what I was going for. But in the end, I kind of went in Figma and created it myself. But what I did was I did use the icons it gave me, and I didn't have to, go and find each icon separately myself, making sure it's sort of in the same family or in the same style. So that part was definitely time-saving. And actually, I could have probably gone with that initial style with the boxes, with two columns that he gave me. That was a nice style as well that I could have used. But, I think overall it really helped me with the icons, and that's what I used. This is another infographic. This one, it gave me right away, and it was perfect. Generate an image of an infographic titled 10 Daily Habits for Mental Well-Being, featuring icons, not emojis, and short description for each habit. Now I'm asking it to generate the content and to generate the visual for it too. So it's doing two different things, which I really like this. I love the icons. I like the colors, the layout, everything is perfect. Next one, design an infographic that explains Newton's law of motion in a visually engaging manner. And again, it really, I love the little stencil graphic of Newton on the left there. Yeah, I just like the colors and the layout and icons and everything. I think the next one, what I did was just asked it to create a timeline of major art styles of the 20th century with dates. And you can do this with like literally anything. For, you can do like a company if it's a company that's say like 20 years old, for example, you can feed in the key moments. Obviously, I asked it to get the key moments itself. So I didn't give it anything. I just asked it to do the whole research and everything and to give me the visual. But if you have a company that's, X years old and it's got a history and you want to visually represent that, give the dates, give the text, and ask it to kind of generate icons or images for each kind of key moment and create an infographic like this. So one thing to note is that, and this is directly from the 4o image generation page, we've noticed that GPT-4o can occasionally crop longer images like posters too tightly, especially near the bottom. Actually, this one cropped the top and the bottom. Well, the bottom is okay, just at the top. And that's normal. So I guess they're working on that. But for a shorter type of content, that should be fine. And a few other kind of examples here. You can pause and take the prompts if you need to. So that was the end of the demo, and I really hope you enjoyed that and you can take bits from it to use it as a service or to use it for yourself as well. And I just want to close off by going through when to choose GPT-4o. So as you saw, it generated text really well, especially compared to the likes of Midjourney that does not get text at all, at least at the time of this recording. And so if you have text-heavy visuals like logos, infographics, UI design, then go for GPT-4o. Collaborative projects. So if you need sort of quick iterations on things, this is good. It's great. You can use the chat and you can use kind of the contextual learning of it just to build on top of another, one thing on top of the other, just to churn out quick iterations of things. And hybrid tasks. So if you want to do, written content to generate some ideas for a website or an infographic or anything like that, and to create an image out of it, then this is perfect as well, because you can do both in the same chat. So final thoughts for me, I think what was like the wow factor, as I mentioned a few times already, is the text rendering and the multi-turn refinement. You can tweak colors, swap out objects, fine-tune and refine typography, and it's all in one chat. It's all in one tool, which is amazing. So you can do also brainstorming, as well as creating images, creating mockups on the fly. It doesn't always get things right in the first go, as we saw for some of the things, but using multiple prompts and building upon the previous prompts will get you the end result that you want. And sometimes you can tweak it quicker, obviously in Canva, Figma, or the likes, which are simple enough tools for anyone to be able to use. And instead of kind of refining and tweaking the prompt itself. So thoughts for the future, I mean, how amazing would it be if you can generate images with layers that you can move around and tweak yourself. So instead of asking it again, move the box a little bit to the left or move the image a little bit to the left, you generate the one image, it's got the layers, and you can move it around right away. And it will really speed things up, instead of moving to Canva or Figma, downloading and so on, and then That would be a really great next step. I'm not sure if that's in the works, but one can dream, eh? If you're as excited as I am for that, then hit the subscribe and hit the like and drop your favorite prompt in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you.